Hello, this is Soundout here, and welcome back to another Kamen Rider review. Today we'll be taking a look at the Complete Selection Modification, Deca Driver, and Rider card set. Now, these two items are separate items released from Premium Bandai, which means they are exclusive to the Japanese website, and you do need a Japanese address to order from them. So you either had to have gotten this from a middleman during the pre-order phase like I did, or you'll have to find it on the aftermarket, which can be a little pricey. This thing wasn't cheap to begin with, and it's gone up in price on the aftermarket, which is why I'm glad I pre-ordered both sets. Now, the overall cost of this, for me, after shipping, was about $310 or so, and luckily my middleman worked with me so I could pay that off over several months, so thank you, Okinawa Toy Seller. Now, the thing with the Deca Driver is that it is split into two sets. For those that don't know, the Complete Selection Modification line is not like the Complete Selection line of old, where they would make a new belt mold that maybe had a few more size changes. It had an adult size belt, had all the sound effects that may have been missing from the original release. This is taking the deluxe toy, so it's taking the deluxe Deca Driver and modifying it to get to that Complete Selection standard. And that's a great line because they're a lot cheaper than the older Complete Selections were, and that's really handy. So far they've done Double and Kabuto, and now they've started Decade with the Deca Driver on the way. So, awesome, awesome, awesome. Especially since the Deca Driver really needs an upgrade. But we'll talk about that thing in October when I get mine. Today we're talking about the Deca Driver. Now, first of all, let's talk about these beautiful boxes, because they're great looking. First of all, we'll look at the Deca Drivers Box, which you can see here. Now, the Deca Driver itself is just the driver. It is the driver with a belt and 30 cards. Now, the box itself here contains everything, and you can see a nice picture of Decade, as well as this cool pink film strip look. And when you open up the box like this, it gets even better, as you can see this diorama piece of Decade, along with, so you can see his driver there, and you can see his cards are stored there. Now, there is one thing missing from this Complete Selection package, and that is the Ride Booker, which is why I have a Korean release Ride Booker to kind of fill the gap on the belt for me. Plus, the cards are the same size as the older cards, so they still fit. But yeah, that is one thing, it does not have a Ride Booker. I really wish it did, even if it was just the card book mode. I think it would have been a cool inclusion. But maybe we'll get one later down the line. I don't know. I'm really just hoping for a K-Touch at this point, because that thing went up. The Deluxe K-Touch is not cheap anymore. But as you can see, really, really nice presentation. And underneath the cardboard here is a nice layer of styrofoam to hold the belt and the belt pieces and the driver along with the cards. Now, the other half of this set is the Complete Selection Modification Rider card, which was a separate item. And this is a set of cards for Decade. It contains the rest of the cards you used in the show, minus the Shinkenger cards. Those weren't included. And it does contain a couple cards that D-End actually used, and not Decade, like Final Form Ride Decade. So, a little weird. But the box for this is really nice, and you might think, oh, well, it includes a bunch of cards, so why is it so big of a box? That's why, because it comes with some things. First of all, on top we have Complete Selection Modification, Deca Driver, and Rider card list. Inside here we have a book. Now, this book is super nice, as it does contain, well, table of contents, shows the trashed old Deca Driver, but it shows all the cards that come in both sets. It shows Decade here with his actor, his camera, all his weapon forms. You can see him with the other 9 Heisei riders. So you can see his attack rides. And then it breaks it down by riders. You get all the Kuga cards, and the Agito cards, and the Ryuki cards, and the Faiz cards, and the Blade cards, and Hibiki, Kabuto, Den-O. Den-O has 2 pages. Kiva. And then Decade's complete form, which shows the K-Touch. I really hope we get a Complete Selection K-Touch, maybe alongside a DN K-Touch. That'd be appreciated. You also get these cool pages with Black and Black RX and Amazon. because he did cross over into their worlds. Plus, here you have a page with all the Showa Rider cards, along with showing Final Form Ride Decade on J, which is pretty neat overall. Plus that shot from All Riders vs. Die Shocker. He also shows the D-End card here, and it shows Gigant and Side Basher for Violent Emotion Decade. It shows the Rising Ultimate and Show Climax cards for the Decade Complete Special Best or whatever. Final Form Ride All Riders, Cyclone Joker Joker, Skull, there's Double, the Kaijin Ride cards, and it has a little segment here with the voice actor of the Deca Driver and Decade's actor himself. And you can see they did a little thing. And then there's a list of the cards, where they all came from, and their sound effects, which you can find that page on the Premium Bandai website, and you can Google Translate it. If you want to know what cards come with the Deca Driver and what come with the card set, I've honestly kind of forgotten, and I'd rather just continue with the review proper, which includes showing off these. Now these are two of these. To help beef up the cost of a set of about 70 cards, they give you something to hold them in. And these are much appreciated. These are binders, and as you can see, this one is styled after the Deca Driver. And it shows it open on the back. When you slide it out, it is a nice cardist binder with Decade and his transformations into the past Heisei Riders. You can see him inserting a card there. Complete Selection Modification Rider card, that serial number, and the other riders. This one's pretty neat. I keep all my Kamen Ride and Form Ride cards in here. And we'll go through that in a bit. But those, as the whole purpose, I love how they have these nice cases. And this one looks like the Ride Booker. Kind of taunting us there, aren't you, Bandai? And this one has Decade with the Ride Booker on the side. They're pulling out a card, and then Blast and Slash on the back. And this is where I keep all my attack rides and final attack rides and the other blank cards. So that's pretty neat. And there is extra space in these. There are several pages here that I did not use, even having all the cards. And speaking of all the cards, if you did order both the Deca Driver and the Rider card set, you got this, which is a little bonus for ordering both. And this is a little slip saying thanks for ordering both. And 3 bonus cards, this being Kamen Ride D-End, that makes a final attack ride D-End sound in the driver, an Eagle Undead Kaijin Ride, and a Moose Fangeir Kaijin Ride. So with that, you have a ton of cards for this thing. And that's quite impressive. But we've talked enough about packaging, presentation, and cards and how to get them. Let's talk about the driver itself. So now we're going to take a look at the Deca Driver itself. Now this thing is quite awesome. The first thing I want to talk about is its belt. This is a complete selection modification. The belt is one of the biggest physical differences. As you can see, it is now this single plastic belt, but it has this nice cord inside. And this is extendable so that the adult size waists of the adult rider fans that would be buying this is accommodated, and I think that's close to the maximum length. You can actually get it to fit pretty well for even like Americans. For me, for example, it fits nicely, and it looks really good, especially if you have a thin enough waistline to get those pieces to connect back there. But it is upgraded to have both sides connect in, and like that. So you got a nice belt look going on. I'm actually quite impressed with the belt itself. Now, the only thing I really can complain about is that there's no extensions back here like the Kabuto CSM belt had. But, well, what can you do? Anyways, I'll just remove these for now, as there's really no point in showing the belt at this moment. So I want to talk about the driver. The driver is completely upgraded from its deluxe counterpart, which I never owned. So, this is the first time I've experienced this. First of all, this ring here is made out of metal from everything I can tell, which is really nice. These are clear on the side. Everything's got this gunmetal silver shine to it. The white's been pearlicized for a pearlescent look. The logos are apparently better tampographed, which is really nice. And overall, the thing looks just incredible, especially on the back here, where they did a little bit of a paint wash in the design details. So it's really impressive. But outside of looking really good, it does a lot of stuff. And all those stuffs involve the ride cards. Now the ride cards have been upgraded as well. They are now show accurate. They don't feature any Gamba ride card information. The barcodes at the top mean nothing now. There's no card numbers, there's nothing. These are straight up the most show accurate cards that you can get for Decade. Even on the back, all good. But you'll notice these shine a bit more, which is because they're a flexible plastic. They're like a cardboard card's flexibility, but in a plastic form. This is not like the Card Archives series that Cardass has put out before, like the Card Archives Blade change card here this is the foil holographic one. This is a huge card in comparison to this. This is because this is a more show accurate size. So if you're in a rider costume, things are going to look smaller because you have a lot more bulk to you, so they make the cards really big in the show. So this is a show accurate size, but it's a lot bigger than this, and they weren't going to upgrade the Deca Driver to have this big a card, I don't think. That would have required making a whole new toy. So that's nice, because then also the Deca Driver works with all the old cards, so that's nice. But as you can see, this is a flexible plastic where it can bend. This is a very sturdy plastic that's not going to bend too much. So there is that. But this allows you to crumple your cards. But the idea is to have the ability to flip it like Decade does, which I don't know how to do exactly, I'm sorry. I keep dropping this card, it's so late. This allows you to have a little bit more play. You can slide the card in at an angle. It's just really nice. It's good for replicating Decade's poses, except it still doesn't give you the gravity pull towards the driver throw function. But, you know, the cards are really nice, and there's a bunch of them. There's a whole lot of cards. Here's just Decade's cards. That's why when I finish reviewing the driver portion, I'm going to go into a sound demo mode, where I will show off every card that it came with, and show off every sound it makes. Because each card makes about one sound each. So, speaking of sounds, it's time to power this thing on. Notice here's a little black switch. Turns on the driver. You get that nice, iconic Deca Driver sound. Now opening it up, you get that sound, and everything slides open. And yes, this is removable, still. It does come out a little bit tighter than the original. And you do have the ability to plug in an old K-Touch. I cannot get a hold of one. I've not been able to find one for sale for a decent price, so I don't have one for the review. I'm hoping for a complete selection. It would be really nice to have an upgraded one, especially since this has such nice paint on it. The old K-Touch will look out of place. Now, this allows us to insert a card, namely the Decade card. This thing is super loud. My ears are ringing a little bit from that. But that's basically the function of the belt, is you put in cards and they make sounds. Card scanner works really well. It registers every card. About every 1 in 50, though, doesn't read quite right. Now, the biggest upgrade for some people is that the Decade Attack Ride cards did not make the right sounds before, but check this out. And Slash does its noise. So does Illusion. And they added an invisible card. So that's really, really neat. Now, like I said, the function of this belt is in the cards, and I don't want to show off too many more, as I'm going to show these off again in the demo portion of the video. So, that is where I'll stop demoing cards. But there is one other hidden function to this belt that pretty much sold me on getting it right away. And that's this little white button down here. Pressing this button will activate the background music of the show. So you get Parallel World when the first time you press it, and it plays throughout going through the sound effects, which is really neat. But if you want more of a battle tune, so you get the track known as Decade. But there is a hidden function. If you hold it down for a few seconds, you get a perfect henshin with the background music intact from the show in Tsukasa fashion of, oh, I'm a passing through Kamen Rider, and then he henshins, and that's when the awesome music kicks in. So it's really cool that let you choose which background music you want during the henshin, plus let you mix up the two. It's a great function. I wish more Rider belts had their background score in it. I'm a huge fan of music, so this thing is just so cool to me. And this belt is so cool. I honestly love this thing so much that it's got to be one of the best Rider belts I've ever owned. The fact this belt can be worn straight out of the box is fantastic. I like being able to just put this belt on without too much hassle of belt extensions or anything like that. It's really, really great, and it feels comfortable too. Plus, it looks really good. I'm really impressed with the complete selection modification part of this. But this does mean I can do some special things with this belt. Because I am a passing through Kamen Rider toy reviewer. Always remember that. Henshin. Wait, what just happened? Did I just become Decade? Well, folks, looks like I can't properly complete the review now. Kind of stuck as a figure art at the moment. But just remember, the complete selection modification Deca Driver is fantastic, and I highly recommend it to fans of Kamen Rider Decade. Also, be sure to check out Hirotaku.com for all your Kamen Rider news and more. Now, for those of you out there that want to see all the sounds that are in the complete selection Deca Driver, then stay tuned, as the demo video will be coming up right after this. But if you aren't staying for that, Tonix and Sound saying goodbye. So here we are at the sound demo section of the CSM Deca Driver. And in order to properly show off every card that has been released between the driver and the card set, I'm going to have to go through these without too much commentary. I want to demo all the sound effects you can make with the two basic sets. Now, I will go through every card except for the blank cards that we'll get to at the end, which all make the same sound. So without further ado, let's begin the CSM Deca Driver sound demo.
Kamen Rider. Sky Rider. Kamen Rider. Super One. ライド電王超クライマックス仮面ライド牙仮面ライド牙エンペラー仮面ライドスカウフォームライドクーガドラゴンフォームライドクーガペガサスフォームライドクーガタイタンフォームライドアギトフレームフォームライドアギトストームフォームライドファイズエクセルフォームライド電王ロッフォームライド電王 X フォームライド電王ガンフォームライド電王ウィングフォームライド牙ガルルフォームライド牙バッシャフォームライド牙ドッガファイナルフォームライドクーガファイナルフォームライドアギトファイナルフォームライドリュキファイナルフォームライドファイズ form Lido. Blade. Final form Lido. Hibiki. Final form Lido. Kabuto. Final form Lido. O. Final form Lido. O. Final form Lido. Chiba. Lido. Erosion. Attack Lido. Invisible. Final attack Lido. Amazon. Final attack Lido. Kuga. Final attack Lido. Agito. Final attack Lido. Nuki. Final attack Lido. Five. Final attack Lido. Blade. Final attack Lido. Hibiki. Final attack Lido. Kabuto. Final attack Lido. Oh. Final attack Lido. Chiba. Final attack Lido. Decay. Final Kamen attack form Lido. Decay.
Now I am going to speak for this next segment here. We have the Kamen D-End card that comes with the Deca Driver and card set when you order both. This is not going to say Kamen Ride D-End, and is actually a final attack ride card.
Final attack Lido. The end.
So it's perfect replicating that final episode. Now the next batch of cards all make the same sound, and that is the error noise, but I still want to show them off. First of all, we have the Eagle Undead and the Moose Fongire, which were the other two promo cards. Now these might work in the DN driver that's coming out, but we're not sure yet. For now, they have different barcodes, but both of them make this sound. It's kind of interesting that they have different barcodes and yet they make the same sound here. The rest of the cards that I'm talking about is a blank ride card, and as you can see, you don't get any sound. And it's also the blank Heisei Rider cards that are powered down from the beginning of the show before he went to the 9 worlds. So you do get these for archive purposes and nothing more. But it is kind of neat that they included them anyways. And the back still have their logos, even if the front is all grayed out. So that is all the sounds in the CSM Deca Driver. Thank you so much for sticking around to the end of the video, and I hope that I was able to show off all the cards efficiently enough to where it was enjoyable to watch if you wanted to see specific sounds. So next is saying goodbye.